You could be doing everything right, eating better, moving more, even working out consistently, and still end up stiff, achy, or one bad move away from throwing something out, and it has nothing to do with how strong your muscles are. The real culprit is your tendons, the part of your body almost no traditional fitness advice ever talks about. The first move that starts fixing this is called the long lever bridge, and it only takes a couple minutes. This exercise looks almost identical to a regular glute bridge, but there's a tweak that's critical to getting more benefits. Your heels are walked out much farther away from your body, and that one small change is what makes the difference. Instead of just working the muscle, it reaches down into the tendon that connects your hamstring to your hip and your knee, the exact tissue that decides whether your body can handle a sudden lunge, an awkward step, or catching yourself from a stumble without something pulling the wrong way. Here's the thing, your tendons don't respond to fast movements or heavy effort the same way your muscles do. They need something slower and more sustained, which is exactly why so many people can feel strong in the gym and still end up with that tight, fragile sensation behind the knee, deep in the hip, or in the front of the shoulder that never fully goes away no matter how much they stretch or foam roll it. You can build a muscle in a matter of weeks, but the tendon attached to that muscle is working on a completely different timeline, and if nothing ever challenges it directly, it just quietly falls further behind. This gap is exactly where so many of those random tweaks and pulls come from. You bend down to grab a bag of groceries, you twist to reach something in the back seat, you take a step off a curb you didn't see clearly, and suddenly something pulls in a way that takes weeks to fully settle down. It's rarely because your muscles were too weak in that moment, it's because the connective tissue holding everything together wasn't ready for that kind of demand. And there's actually one tendon in your upper body that quietly runs the show without anyone noticing. One that could be the real reason behind a type of pain so many people deal with on a near daily basis. We'll talk about that in a second here, but first let me show you how to do the long lever bridge correctly. You'll want to lie on your back and walk your heels out further than you would for a normal bridge, far enough that you feel real tension building through your hamstrings even before your hips lift off the ground. From there, drive through your heels and raise your hips until your body forms a straight line from your shoulders down to your knees, then hold steady right there. Keep your core tight and resist the urge to let your lower back arch, and if you want to increase the challenge, lift one heel slightly off the floor while keeping your hips level and square. If you've ever reached overhead to grab something off a shelf and felt a strange catch or ache right at the front of your shoulder, you've probably blamed your shoulder for it. But the shoulder might not be where the actual problem is coming from. Think about that for a second. The shoulder joint relies on a small web of tendons to stay stable, and one of the biggest contributors runs straight down into your bicep. When that tendon is weak or has never been properly trained, your shoulder ends up compensating every time you reach, lift, or push. And over time, that compensation is what turns into the nagging ache that people just learn to live with. It can show up even from just sleeping on one side all the time. What makes this frustrating is that people often spend months working on shoulder mobility, stretching, and rotator cuff exercises, and still feel that same ache, because the tendon running into the bicep was never part of the equation. It's not that those other things are useless, it's that they're addressing one piece of a puzzle while leaving another piece completely untouched. This is where the bicep tendon isometric hold comes in. Stand holding a light dumbbell with your arm bent to about 90 degrees in front of you, then simply hold that position without moving. You can also do this without any weight at all by pressing your fist upward into the underside of a table or countertop, which lets you control exactly how hard you push. Either way, the goal is a strong, steady contraction held in place, not a quick squeeze and release. What makes this one so valuable is that it's training a tendon that almost never gets direct attention, even in programs that focus heavily on shoulder health. FitZip has always leaned toward the stuff that gets overlooked, because that's usually where the real change happens. As you hold this position, focus on keeping your shoulder pulled down and back rather than creeping up toward your ear, and breathe steadily through the hold instead of bracing and holding your breath. A strong controlled hold here for a sustained period is what tells this tissue it needs to adapt, rather than a quick effort that doesn't ask much of it at all. That ache in your shoulder that you've been blaming on bad posture or an old injury might actually be coming from exactly this. The truth is, building real strength isn't just about the muscles you can see in the mirror. It's about the mobility and stability underneath that determine whether your body can actually hold up to everyday life without things tightening up, aching, or giving out on you. That's exactly what the Reset Your Body blueprint is built around. Instead of chasing bigger lifts or longer workouts, it focuses on the foundational movement patterns that keep your joints healthy, your body moving the way it's supposed to, and your risk of injury low. So the strength you do build actually translates into a body you can rely on. If that sounds like something you want, there's a QR code on screen right now that you can scan with your phone, or you can check the link in the description below the video. Now let's get back into the third exercise I want to show you. There's an area of your body that barely ever comes up in workout videos, yet it's quietly involved in almost every time you step sideways, change direction, or even just get out of a car. And here's where it gets even deeper. This same area is often the hidden source of that tight pulling sensation some people feel deep in the groin or inner thigh that seems to come from nowhere, especially after sitting for long periods or after activities that involve any kind of twisting or lateral movement. That area is your adductors, and the tendons running through them are exactly what the Copenhagen plank is built to target. To set it up, you'll need something to rest your top foot on, like a bench, couch, or sturdy chair. Lie on your side with your top leg resting on that surface and your bottom leg hanging free underneath you. Then lift your hips off the ground until your body forms a straight line. If that feels too difficult at first, you can bend the top knee and rest it on the surface instead, which makes the hold more manageable while still working the same tendons. What's interesting is that this single move addresses something that barely shows up anywhere else in typical training. So while your legs and glutes might be getting plenty of attention from squats or lunges, this inner thigh and groin area often gets completely skipped, which is part of why it tends to be the first thing that tightens up or acts up during activities that involve any kind of side-to-side motion, like getting in and out of a car, playing with grandkids on the floor, or even just rolling over in bed. As you hold the position, keep your body in one straight line from shoulder to ankle without letting your hips sag toward the floor or rotate upward. Keep your core engaged throughout, and breathe steadily rather than holding your breath through the hold. The longer and more controlled you can make this hold, the more this often neglected area gets the message that it's time to adapt and get stronger. By now you've trained tendons in your hamstring, your shoulder, and your inner thigh, and there's one more area that ties everything together, the one most responsible for whether your knees feel solid or shaky walking downstairs, getting up from a low chair, or carrying something heavy across a parking lot. That's your patellar tendon, and the wall sit is one of the most effective ways to train it. To do this, lean your back against a wall and slide down until your knees are bent to somewhere around 90 degrees, with your thighs roughly parallel to the floor. Your feet should be positioned far enough away from the wall that your knees stay stacked over your ankles rather than pushing forward past your toes. From there, simply hold that position, keeping your weight pressed back into the wall and your core braced. If this feels too easy, you're probably not sinking low enough, or you're letting your legs do less work than they should be. On the other hand, if your legs are shaking and burning within the first several seconds, that's actually a sign you're applying real tension, which is exactly what this tendon needs to adapt and get stronger over time. This kind of discomfort is a completely different signal than pain from an injury. It's simply your body telling you that this tissue is finally being asked to do something it hasn't done in a long time. What's interesting is that this is a move almost everyone has seen before, yet very few people ever hold it with enough intensity for it to actually matter. Ignoring the part of your body that quietly determines how your knees feel for decades is how people end up trading their mobility away, one small compromise at a time, while the people who train this stay capable of doing the things they love well into their later years, whether that's hiking or simply walking down a flight of stairs without thinking twice about it. FitZip isn't about chasing trends or fancy equipment. It's about training the parts of your body that actually determine how you feel and move every single day. If you want a complete approach that builds the kind of mobility and stability that holds up long term, the link to the Reset Your Body Blueprint is in the description below.